Hey everyone, welcome to the TeamsNation monthly meetup April. It's awesome to have you here and it's going to be interesting meetup. We will have two wonderful speakers and of course we will share some updates about the TeamsNation community conference. My name is Vesa Nopanen, but of course please do call me Vesku and I will be guiding you through today's meetup. First, of course, TeamsNation, it's about bringing people together. We are all very passionate about teams, and that's why we are here, basically. We love to work with that, and of course, we love to see what kind of opportunities it will open to us, and so we are bringing the professionals to be able to connect together, and we are creating this bit network, basically TeamsNation. And of course, that also provides people opportunities to share their content and present and kind of get feedback and of course learn. So we are equalizing the knowledge and experience in that sense. We have been here for a while and our meetup group already has over 400 members and that's a kind of a great thing. And hey Chris, I see you have landed after all. And
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say hello to everyone and thank you ever so much. I've just literally come out of an exam and so I'm a little bit late. So it's great to see everyone and I'm sure Vesa has spoken about TeamsNation.
Yeah, I already mentioned it very quickly, avoiding any hard to pronounce words as usual. And of course, congratulations, Chris, on your exam part. But beyond that, of course, feel free to get involved and share the word. We have lots of channels out there. Twitter, our new website has been there for a few weeks. And feel free to kind of follow our YouTube channel as well and join our LinkedIn in there. But that's a very brief startup because we have heard that for so many times before, so you can check on the previous recording if you want to know more details about the TeamsNation. But today it's all about the what's hot. Some updates about the conference, upcoming conference. We are just, we have a few weeks there to go, 2 weeks and a couple of days. So we are getting really close now. And then we have our speakers, David and Robert, that are going to do their sessions here today. So this is kind of a pre-warm-up or pre-conference, however you want to say it. And we will follow up with some important dates and having the opportunity to have some conference Q&A there. See if you have time and if you have questions about that. But as for the update, what's happening, we already have over 2,000 people who have registered in, and that's awesome. And last year we have 2,500, so 2,500. Of course, we are aiming to that at least. So please do keep sharing the word and let's get enough attendees there. So we are going to have a fun and fantastic day. There was a lot of session submits and well, that ended up in having that 115 sessions in there, divided over 11 tracks until 12 hours. So it's going to be quite a day, I can say that. We are starting up at 8 a.m. In the Central European summertime, and we'll be finishing up sessions roughly 12 hours after that. Of course, there's going to be some activities after those slots as well, so it's going to be more than 12 hours in that sense. But with over 140 speakers, it's going to be quite a ride, I can say. And looking at all the sessions that are in the schedule and seeing what's out there, it's just a shame you just can't have kind of a 9. You are not there 9 times because of basically duplicating yourself multiple times to be able to follow each session. But we will be recording those and sharing most of the sessions, so it's going to be very easy to catch them up later. And right now we are at the commit phase, so we are building up the event. We have the speakers, we have the sessions, and we are kind of setting the stage, building up things there, creating everything that's needed for the day to work. We have our moderators on board. We have our speakers team, and that's how we are going to be building it up, sharing the information for speakers to make it easy. And on the actual date, people will be joining up without having to do any tenant switch or anything like that. And there's a link for that TeamsNation.rocks/hub if you want to check out your schedule and see what's out there. And with 140 plus speakers, there's I guess there was 17 Microsoft speakers. 16 of them have been on the featured side, so we have excellent sessions coming up. Jeff Deeper is going to be in the opening keynote, and we will have 4 Microsoft big names doing the end note. So and between those sessions, we will have community speakers and the other Microsoft speakers doing their sessions, and it's well. As I said, it would be excellent to be able to join each of them live, but unfortunately, I just have to duplicate myself too many times. And the tracks, just kind of going through that very briefly. So in case you haven't been here before and heard about that, those 11 tracks plus the lounge, it gives quite a good opportunity for people to jump around between the rooms to be able to join each session and see kind of to build their conference the way you want to build it. So you are going to maximize your learning and kind of jumping between your topics of interest. Adoption and governance is of course something that interests a lot of people in there, and going for security and compliance. I think we have a very interesting names on the security and compliance part, and I'm really looking forward on those sessions. But of course we have those new tracks in there, especially about the table talks and unconference, which is going to be more interactive track on the most part. So it's kind of great to be involved, and I guess that's the kind of track you want to join if you want to be more interactive with the speakers and the other attendees. This is a tough day for me for speaking, I see. And on the underlying technologies like SharePoint, OneDrive, Jammer, and Stream, so-called choice, that's something like we didn't have before. So of course, people want to join those if you want to know more about how the SharePoint works with Teams, for example, or how do you can use that OneDrive better. And I can see Mr. OneDrive already in this meeting or there. Excellent. So I know there's an excellent one session from him in there as well, and going for the Yammer and Stream as well. And we have our friends from TeamsNation, basically from AMS and Teams Community Day German in there as well. So we have 2 tracks which are dedicated on languages for French and German. And as kind of a bonus, we have 1 Finnish session in the table tracks. So if you want to join that one, that's 3 p.m. my time in there, but that's Teams Finland meetup, so that's why it's in Finnish in there. So we have kind of international twist in there, or should you say global in that sense. But of course, we need your help. We need your help as a kind of a community to share the word and let people to know about this event. We have our social media bubble, we reach out to that people, but of course, when you are sharing that to your networks, you will be most likely sharing it to those bubbles we can't reach. So we would love to see people from different backgrounds and different needs joining up and finding those sessions from there that so they can learn about Teams. And of course, we have our LinkedIn group as well. And this is not about today. It's just a kind of a quick flash about what's happening in June in TeamsNation. So on the June 21st, we will have Robert again. Excellent, doing a session about Teams for Leaders. And then we will have a kind of a retro about TeamsNation, how it went and how thoughts about the event as well. So that's why I wanted to highlight there. Some of the people will leave early when seeing the session, so now you know what to expect in June. Somebody was saying something.
You need this little code or something.
Okay, interesting. But Today we have David and Robert speaking. David talking about the managing the creation of Microsoft Teams, and then after that Robert will be talking about the productivity and employee well-being, which is a kind of a big thing, but there's a twist about the machine learning included. So David, if you are ready. Still mute.
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I saw that I was muted.
No worries, we just need the mug to show up or a banner or something like that. But hey, feel free to take over and kind of start your session and get the screen sharing, and let's get forward. And otherwise, people just use the chat and for questions. And how do you like the questions, David? Do you want people to interrupt you, or do you want to answer at the end?
Since this is a small group, people can interact with me, no problem. Anyway, I will reserve a little bit at the end for Q&A. If you have any questions that you don't reminder during the session and you want to take them at the end.
Okay, excellent.
Right.
Take it away.
Oh, not here. Sorry about that. Okay. So can you see my screen, right?
Yes, I can. I can see your. Yeah. No, that's better.
Yeah, just swapping here things. Okay, so first of all, this presentation is about managing the creation of teams. There are, I would say, 20 different ways to managing these. You can use Teams default, you can make your own kind of solution, a bunch of different options. We're gonna cover these, and it will give you a little bit of background and like a user experience and what a fake company wants to achieve with this kind of a tool. So first of all, let me introduce myself. So I'm David Ramalho. I am a SharePoint developer at Storm Technology. Storm Technology is a company based on Ireland, where I'm currently in Dublin. I am Microsoft MVP for Office apps and services. Where I try to focus more is on Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, and I also try to contribute to the awesome community that is PNP, which a bunch of different options. I'm sure that every one of you are aware of that community. And if you are able to share something there, even small things that you do on your work are very, very welcome. So a quick agenda on this. So I'm going to start by the objectives of the company. So what this company that we are envision, what they want to accomplish, the options that we have available. I have like 4 options. I will share a couple more that we can eventually use. What we're going to use. Then I will give you like an example on how the user will interact with the system. Then I will give you I will not give a full demo of building everything from scratch. I will just show you the points where you need to go and how you can have almost what I have here without any complications, because this is almost a no custom solution. The other possibility to explore is kind of if you want to improve this system eventually, what you could do. And at the end, I have the Q&A session. Of course, if you have any questions during the session, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. So the objectives of the company. The first of all is to allow people to request projects. So the idea here is we are like a consulting company, and we have like a project A that we're gonna receive. So we need to create the teams to share all the files and everything that is referenced to that project. So the idea here is to allow people to make the request for these projects, and behind the scenes we are creating all the resources, including teams. The other idea is easy to have and update new fields. That means if we have like 5 fields that are mandatory from the beginning, if you want to add 1 or 2 more, they are easy to add and easy to build on the system. The possibility to review the request on any device. So if you are not on laptop, you can use like your mobile device and accept from there the creation of the team that was one of the requests. Another one is to reward the request, so we know who made the request, when, and have like a secure way to review this. Of course, we can have two options, which is approve or reject creation of teams. Of course, this is just an example of you can like make some kind of amendment or something like that. And they want to create the teams, as I mentioned, for each new project. So to start with, we're gonna start with the options available. So what is the best way? There is no definitely answer for that. If you want to make some kind of more easy way between all these four options, you gotta probably go with forms. If you want to build more robust or more with more features and possibility to improve a little bit during the development time, you could probably go with SharePoint or with Power Apps. Of course, you can have if you have like your own system, you can create like a Teams app from the scratch. Eventually here, one that it's on top of my mind that we can include is Microsoft Lists, which is very similar to Forms. And for sure, you are able to include that here. So a bunch of different options to reach the same goal. So in our case, what we're gonna use Microsoft Forms, which we're gonna generate the Microsoft Teams, and what we're gonna use in the middle is the Power Automate. Here again, this middle piece can be multiple things. It could be a custom solution that you develop on C#, for instance. It could be Logic Apps. It could be multiple things. So here we're gonna just use Power Apps, since they released a couple of commands that we can use and they are already there. It's very easy to implement the system. So how the user will interact with the system? So they will go to a certain area and they will fill a request form, which then we're gonna trigger an approval process. And if it's approved on Teams, that means it will create the team, and therefore people can start working on that project. So now it's demo time, and I will show you all the parts of this system. So the first thing that I would like to start is I have here what could be like a general page. Let me just refresh this. What could be a general page on SharePoint, like an intranet or something like that. And what I have done is I included here Microsoft Forms, which is a web part shared by default with you, which you can include on the SharePoint site. Eventually, what we could do as well with this particular page is we could have these on Teams and create the team, make the request for this new project directly on Teams. So here I will start by putting here some of the words that we want. So this is the project name. So the client name will be TeamsNation, for instance. So what type of work do we do? And this is the information that I am putting here, and you can change everything because we are using adaptive cards in order to show this information. And of course, you can tweak all of that. So let's say that is a research. Here, the starting date, let's put today. How many days of development? 5 days. And here we can have our comments. After you submit, and again, this is using the SharePoint, the native application. What it's going to do is going to trigger a flow that we have created, and which will have on a Microsoft Teams channel that specify a request a team hub with pretty much what we have filled there. You see that here we have like a briefly information about the project, the name of the project A, the client name, which is TeamsNation, the type of work, when they plan to start this work, and how many days, and the comments, everything else. I have included these two buttons, either to approve or to reject. If you click approve, the team will be created, and this also detects the user that's going to be created. And as you see, I have already the project A here, and you can make like if anyone from your organization can access these Microsoft forms because it's inside SharePoint page in this case. Therefore, they can create a team like this. And now we can start working and building on top of this and go, for instance, adding the new members that we want to add to work on this project alongside with us, and so on. So now I'm going to show you a little bit of the flow that we have. So this is a basic flow where we have like a submit response. The response here, we just grab the name of the form. Here we used an adaptive card, and I can show you here. You know, probably this were well as well as me. So I have here this adaptive card that I have built. I have some IDs, and I'm gonna show you as well this part, because this could be very interesting for you to, in case that you have kind of, it's not showing properly on Power Automate, how you can know if people click on the approve or on reject button. And of course here also another great possibility that you have is you can check how it's going to look like on each different environment. So Microsoft Team Dark, the light version, if you send this to an email, you can also see how it's going to look like, and so on. So it's a great tool, and I definitely recommend you to take a look into this in case that you are building using these adaptive cards. So getting back to here, then it's just a matter of, you have like these titles and just put the value that you want to print there. And then here the buttons that I mentioned. Probably the most tricky part about this, it could be this submission item. So when you click here, you see that I don't have anything that relates to this particular reject button or approve button. So what I have done is, if I just remove this, if I click here, I don't have. But basically, the way that you connect both things is, here we have a function which is called body, and you can make between parentheses what's your action name, and the action name will be the name, pretty much the title of this part, which is response from Teams. So you just type that there, and then pretty much we know that once it's approved, we make something, and if it's rejected, we can, it's probably a no. That means we can probably send an email to the person, notify him that was not created, or something like that. The other part is because we are using not anonymous responses, we know that the person with that is responding to the actual form, we're going to have this part which is responder email, so we can have them as a member of the team. Because what we are doing behind the scenes here is we are creating this account for this particular user, and let's assume that I am a user service account, and then I add the user directly to that team as owner, for instance, or as member. It's really a matter of changing between these options to make you owner or not of the application. The form itself, I don't think there is much to share here. It's a simple form with a bunch of different text areas that you put here, and of course this is great because you can have multiple fields, and this was one of the original requirements that we have for this part. So we can definitely have more stuff here in case that we need that. Another part is going to be this that I want to share with you is the way that I have created these, let's say, internet page or landing page, or whatever we want to call it. I have used this lookbook from SharePoint, and this is kind of a way for you to have like a sample site with some predefined content. So I have used this. I removed a couple of web parts from the page, and from there I was able to pretty much create the page and put right here on our right, as you can see here, the form. Let me just refresh the page so you can see and have the reference here. And of course, each time that you access this page, you have access to this new project. You can put this wherever you like. If you don't want this to be more at the top, you can move that right down. Okay, so what are the one thing that eventually you want to do once you make this kind of system? Because the idea here is to track the users and to track how many teams you create on a team. You first need to disable the creation of teams for your organization except this user. Again, let's suppose that I am a service account, so it's going to be disabled for everyone except you, and then you can start to create a new project. Anyway, if you don't want to make that, this system will work anyway, and you can make like this to create new team each project. And it's a quick way for you to do this, and of course it will create the teams, as you see, pretty much automatically and very fast. Okay, so this was like my demo. It was not a big demo because probably do you have any questions about the demo itself, or can I make jump to the conclusions? I'm not seeing the chat. Let me just put here the chat.
I think we are a little low on questions right now.
Yeah.
So somebody just put a comment that I learned that you can't create more than 750 teams that way.
Yeah, if you have 750 teams, yeah, that's quite a lot. I was not aware of that limitation. But yeah, I think that from most organizations, the idea here as well is to make kind of a cleanup because you have like a way to track how many requests you have like in a certain period for let's put like a year. Usually you will not have so many teams this way, I would say. Anyway, it's nice to know this limitation of 750. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and it's in Teams limits and specifications. Basically, the number of teams user can create is subject to 250 object limit. So I guess that's related to that. But of course, if your flow is running with an admin account, then or service account, then it can be something else. It can be a much higher one. So I was just interesting to hear from Andreas. Is there was that because of the service account or because of something else?
Hi, here's Andreas. So I have some colleagues in the Netherlands. We are, let's say, we are Microsoft Graph people, so we are not Power Automate. And there we learned that there is a limit how you can do with a delegated user. But I'm not sure about he was getting that reach because there's a limit how many ownerships you can have. I think he had these technical users still as a co-owner in the team or something like this. So I'm not sure, but there is an end to the delegated user creating the teams. The good thing is when you still use delegated users today is you don't run into another problem that the people on the graph are discussing when you're using an app to creating teams. Microsoft has a funny idea that the channel is not created until somebody touches the channel. So if you want to create a channel and create a subfolder structure, yeah, you're getting mad using the app. Even today, you have some timing issues, so you have to query until the folder is really there before you try to create subfolder structures.
Yeah, that's true, and like probably all of us are. Well, I have already faced some limitations as well with that. So basically, in the past, one of the problems that I have is these files. Here, generally, they are only created when you click on this tab. And now you see that I don't have the files. So if I go back to other project and come back to these and click on files, now the back end structure is created. And this is a problem that I'm aware of. Of course, people, if they're going to manage documents, they will eventually come to these specific files and upload stuff here.
Yeah, but
one
let's
thing
say
that
if
is
you do automations, this is the same behavior in the Graph API. So for an API standpoint, that is a no-go. And let's say a lot of people are really banging on Microsoft that they should switch something. At least when you, let's say, my idea is to push Microsoft when you ask for the channel for the drive ID of the channel, then that could only be an API that wants to do something, because there is no user interaction who can do this. At least then something should go on and create the channel.
Yeah, I agree. There's kind of limitations there, or kind of something that Microsoft could fix with little code to kind of refresh or something like that to make it more simpler. But actually, if you are using the Graph API, you can get through that limitation on standard channels. I have done that in demos. So basically what you do is that you create a new file there, you know the structure, and you just push in the file creation, and you create a dummy file, and it will create the structure.
But how you create a file if it doesn't have a drive ID?
It has the drive ID. You can get the drive ID of
yeah,
the
but
team.
the drive ID is only there when the channel is built.
And well, it's been a while when I tested.
You see, David was needed to click on it, and until this answer, the drive ID is not available.
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure, because I never touch into that much detail. I know that this is by default use the document library, and I think when you create on Graph and request a team, it creates a SharePoint behind the scenes. What it doesn't do is make a connection between this general, and this general is a folder inside the SharePoint itself. So this is probably the drive ID that you are looking for, right? And then you can create your own structure folder.
But anyhow, I can see if they come to an end in the Graph community with talking to Microsoft. If we have news, I can bring it back if this is fixed, because it's for people who thinking in automation, that is a showstopper.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and it was in the showstopper in the private channels at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know there's a fix for that, and as Vesa said as well, because I've done it. I can't really remember how, but I think this was. I don't know how.
The delegated looks is now fixed, and now the app people are the last one are crying.
Yeah.
I didn't test the delegated. They say delegated is fixed, and then the app people will say, but we are still. Yeah, the people are creating with app access were hanging.
Yeah, but I mean, the workaround Vesa's talking about is definitely working in the sense of I knew before when I was trying this and actually did this, and I needed to create a folder structure, and this was Power Automate I was using, and I think that back then I had to copy a dummy file over to that location, and then it created the actual folder, channel folder, and then I could remove that and then copy the folder structure that I wanted. So it's a little bit of
but
mess,
how to copy a file if you don't have a drive ID?
I don't think you need a drive ID or something like. I can't really remember because I don't have it in front of me right now or something like that. But it's definitely doable to do that, and I've done it. And as I said, he's done it as well. So you can get past that by doing something like that.
If you find your trick, I think there are other people who would like to follow your way.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I'll see if I can play around with it when I get the time and see exactly the steps you need to do in order for it to work.
Okay, the kind of interest of keeping in the time, I guess it might be the good time for conclusion.
Yeah, and thank you, Andrew, and everyone for helping here on this question. For sure, there are things to be improved that Microsoft can do, and meanwhile we can take a look and try to discover ways around it and solve the problems. So just a couple more slides. So the conclusion of this is it's one, because we made all of this with Microsoft this is This is our initial requirements. So allow people to request new projects, and we completed that using Microsoft Forms. Easy to add and update new fields. Again, Microsoft Forms is very easy to add new fields or updating the existing ones, and then we just need to reflect that on adaptive cards, which will be again very simple to do. Because Microsoft Teams is available on any device, mobile phone, any platform, iOS, whatever, it's possible to review these on any device. The possibility to record the requests. So each request is saved on Teams channel, and it's also saved on the person that contains the form, and you can always check who made what. If you want to improve these a little bit, eventually you could include a list to create a list and have people there instead. What we need to reject and approve the Teams creation, we use the Microsoft Teams connector on Teams, and then create the project. For each new project, we have used like it's saying Azure Logic App that we have used at Power Automate. So as you see, a bunch of different options here. We have some people that did this using Microsoft Graph, which is a completely valid solution. So I would say that mission was completed. So how can improve these options? This is always something that we do on our daily jobs. The first thing that it's on top of my mind is, rather than having a form that you complete, you could have like a bot that asks you, okay, you could call him, and then he makes like the 5 questions or 6 that we have there, and with that he builds the team. We can have messages on Microsoft Teams. That means you can just having their messages saying, okay, this is the channel reserved for this project. Please use this type of things. You can also send user notifications. So here we are just creating the team, and we are not sending anything for the user. Eventually, we could include a step that sends an email, for instance, with some links, some useful links for people to have access anywhere. With this as well, we also have like this create a template in place. So because we are creating the teams, we eventually can come up with a template, because on Power Automate you can say, okay, create these couple more channels. For instance, if you have a communication directly with the client, or you are saving their emails on a certain channel, you can create this channel immediately when you are creating the teams, so you don't have to, so you can save a little bit of time and to have more structured way for creating the teams. You can also include, and this is something that is not there as well. So after an X amount of days that you not approved or not rejected anything, you can start sending reminders to the team saying, okay, you didn't review this request, and try to make it more easy for the admins to remind that they have to do these jobs, to either approve or reject requests. So this is my last name, because usually we just finish it everything, but there are always a but you could do this and that. And with this is my final. I just handed the presentation. I hope that you liked the presentation. And if you have any questions, again, I think we have like a few minutes left, like 5 or something like that, if you want to discuss anything else. Okay, I don't see.
I don't think that, at least not yet. There was
Yeah.
Can Power Automate add a request to the new approval application?
Yeah, because we are here behind the scenes, we are like using the approvals. Therefore, it will be on the approval app for sure. Okay. It's going to be the same thing. And thank you for that's a really good question.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and it was great to see your presentation, because it's always awesome to have a kind of different views, different business reasons when you start doing this part and how you get started with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and feel free to ask more questions from David. And meanwhile, I guess, Robert, are you all kind of booted up?
I'm here and I think I'm booted up. I will start sharing my screen, or let me start sharing the presentation directly. Will this work, this new presentation mode?
Yeah, now that we have created lots of teams with automation, then we can kind of start tracking the productivity part. Take it away, Robert.
Yeah. Let me just check. Do I need to start the presentation first to have this presenter mode? Yeah, we just do it old school. So just normal one. Just wanted to try out if this presentation mode in Teams works on my machine. We will see in another meeting if I get this working. So yeah, thank you for also some time here in this meeting. I'm really proud to be a member here and also speak about it. Because I heard a lot about TeamsNation and always great speakers, great topics, and therefore I'm very happy to also now be a part of this. Yeah, few questions to myself, a few information to myself. I'm working for Context AI as an evangelist. I'm also a Microsoft MVP, and yeah, I would like to talk today about data and how data can not only increase productivity, but also the well-being of our employees. And this is because also, yeah, this company, Context AI, loves data and is also doing a couple of solutions which can drive the adoption in your company. And therefore, this is exactly my topic and why Microsoft is also pushing Workplace Analytics, but now under the new name Microsoft Viva Insights. Yeah, very quick agenda, 4 items, actually just a little baseline, why machine learning and artificial intelligence is important. Then we make a little look behind the scenes of workplace analytics. And then of course coming to the answer how this can now really increase our productivity. And if you stay along the line, then I will give you a calculation in the end. When you do what we will see in this presentation, you can immediately save 100,000 US dollar or euros. I think I have the currency in this case. So be excited. And then last but not least, a very little look ahead what can come. All right. I think when I ask you in the round, so I would guess everybody of you is saying, hey, here, my mobile phone, after 2 years, it's so slow, I need a new one. Same with laptops and so on. And this is, just a normal procedure because this comes from Moore's law. It was defined in the 1960s. And pretty much says that, actually the number of transistors on a microchip can double every 2 years. Actually, he said at first every 1 year, but then after a few years, okay, it said it's more realistic with 2 years. And this law still exists and is still true. So, but around this year or maybe next year could be the first year where we don't double after 2 years, but let's see. And similar growth we also see here on this chart in regards to the data growth. And this makes pretty sure that, okay, there's a lot of data, no question. And we feel more kind of maybe not alone, but left behind. A lot of people feel like this. So these days, we have to adjust with the so-called bicycle effect. So when you go on a bicycle and you drive very slow, then you're unstable and you fall down. So therefore, you have to move faster, you have to adopt faster, you have to change faster to feel more stable and to feel more confident in these fast changing world. And the basement for this is this Moore's law. So this means when we run faster and faster and faster, okay, we are more and more productive. Not exactly because we have a limit, because this is a time. There's only 24 hours per day, and nobody of us, I think, wish to work 24 hours a day. So therefore, we need to adjust this time, so this input, but still get most out of it. And then the more we get out for a certain amount of input, this is then based on Wikipedia here called productivity. But there's one problem with this because multitasking is a myth. We need to focus. And usually statistics says that every 12 minutes we get interrupted, and only 2.8 seconds are sufficient to lose our flow. And I think everybody of us can say, oh yeah, that happens quite often to me because the mobile phone is ringing, or the kids from homeschooling having an issue, and so on and so forth. So therefore, this is not helping us a lot. And when we remember this chart, which is data growth, there's also so many data, and it's hard to find the right information. So this is the problem we currently deal, and all our colleagues deal with. So when we would now ask them, would they say, yeah, let's just stop everything? No, usually not, because there was a survey also from Oracle made very recently. Could you imagine that machine learning and AI would help you anyhow? Because all of us heard of, oh, AI is stealing our jobs and so on and so forth. No. More than half of all the surveyed colleagues and employees of the study said, no, please, please, please give us these tools. They really help us to make life easier, to work faster, be more satisfied, and so on and so forth. So this is what you can hear now on this chart. So the question now, where is this coming from? So why is this us helping to shorten our week? Or why is this even allowing us to make longer vacations? This sounds great, isn't it? So the basement for this is, as you can see on the bottom, machine learning and artificial intelligence helps us with three main pillars. So first of it is really in this big majority of data, we find the right information. And this is one topic we will not cover today, because this is the knowledge part from Microsoft. You heard about SharePoint syntax, or now called Microsoft Viva topics. This is where we find what we are looking for in this big amount of data. But where the insights part can help, it's about decreasing our workload and helping prioritize tasks. So therefore, staying focused so that we not get interrupted, and really work in our flow so that we are more productive in the end. So far, the basement, people are happy. They want artificial intelligence because they truly believe this can help them. And Microsoft gives us something for this. This is now the baseline for my little introduction. Now let's have a look. How should this work? And if somebody of you guys haven't heard about Workplace Analytics, just a very quick one, because Workplace Analytics is actually the engine behind Microsoft Viva Insights. So you will hear more often about this from now on, because this is sure a cloud-based service in Office 365 based on machine learning. So with all the data that is anywhere there, this is here on the left-hand side, all the Microsoft Office 365 data is there, and Workplace Analytics is aggregating this to some KPIs. And this is the machine learning algorithm underneath. Of course, as always, you have governance control so that you can control who has access to what. And then you put everything into a business context. So this is uploading your organizational profile. So who's the manager of who? Yeah, how long are people working in the company? For example, how long or when do they quit the contract, and so on and so forth. And this can be then put into context of the data. And when this comes all together, you get some insights. Okay, you find something out. These insights, yeah, is actually here a more technical diagram. So this organizational data here on the bottom will be uploaded from the administrators or from the HR team. They have a file about this, and this data gets into the entire machine learning processing engine. There's a data pipeline who pulls out the data. From the data, this is already there. So no XOR data will be generated. And then this will be aggregated with the regarding machine learning algorithm. And in the end, you get some dashboards, some views, but you can also export some data to build your own Power BI dashboards or any other reports. And the last part would be here, you can also then set up some plans, which then integrates with My Analytics, or then of course now with Microsoft Viva Insights directly in the Microsoft Teams app. Also important to know on this workplace analytics, it is based on time and connections that the employees are doing. So just assume you have your working time from 8 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. So set an Outlook usually, and this is really where Workplace Analytics takes the data from. And everything before and afterwards is the after work time. So far, so clear. And now you have some collaboration time in between. This means you have meetings, you have Teams chats, team calls, and so on and so forth. This is called collaboration hours. And the real working day is from the first activity you do per day and the last activity you do per day. So especially in companies where you have shifts, so where you don't have this 8 to 5 schedule in Outlook, for example, and also in very flexible working environments. So when you start writing the first email at 6 and the last email at 8 p.m., this can, of course, impact the final statistics. So therefore, all the results have to be taken with care. Okay. So, and yeah, some time in between is, of course, focus time, where you have nothing to do. And if you take these statistics with care, then you can also, of course, say that from all this overwork that you have done, is this by purpose? Is this really constant working without any focus time in between, where we were doing some sports, for example, or enjoying the sun in a restaurant or something like this? If you have really no free time in between, then this could be a real issue. But as I said, in flexible working environments, you have to be a deeper look where these measures come from in the end. Okay, so far so good. How workplace analytics works in the background, focusing on the time that employees spend doing something and with whom. So not with whom specifically, but in general, if they connect with a manager, if they connect with other peers in meetings, and so on and so forth. And please interrupt me, Vasco, when there are any questions, since I don't have it here directly on my screen. And so therefore, to the audience, please feel free to raise your questions. Also unmute yourself. More than happy to answer them, of course. Okay, now we have the basics. Let's now drive one example, and this example will also help you to save then 100K at the end of this meeting. So one detailed report that you could get out of this workplace analytics is this one. So you see here, that you have on the X AL, the duration of meetings, how long meetings usually take, and on the Y AL, also on this not horizontal, vertical AL, you have then how many employees or how many attendees are joining these meetings. And classical on top, these typical all hands meetings. So the CEO was sending a message to all employees. Of course, there are many people inside. Bloated meetings are those meetings where not all of the company, but a lot. I think the diagram is here then self-explaining how many people joined and how much time this takes. When we now take the biggest ones here, so which consume most of the time because many employees are inside, or simply the meeting itself takes a lot of time, then we can find out with Workplace Analytics in this specific case that 50% of all these meeting hours are then spent in those specific long or large meetings. And when we now take one example here, this was a company with, so this example, what I calculate here, is a company with 738 employees. So not even above 1,000, so still very small, I would say. And for this specific companies, this means they spend more than 11 million euros per year in those meetings. I'm not saying all of those meetings are useless, so please break up all the workshops and all the all hands. But it's a starting point to look inside, do we really need all of them? So, my dear Workplace Analytics, what else can you show us? Let's look deeper into these statistics. And the next graph here, for example, is that we can find out, again here, not specifically who exactly, but we can see that 20% of the employees create 82% of this workload, of these huge meetings that we have here. And then we can also have a look if you configured this, so in regards to data security and so on, if you want that this is visible, in this case, it's very important to find out where can we start to increase our productivity. There we can see that this product management and the strategy department are creating all or mostly of these meetings, and it's usually this middle management who are setting up these meetings. Again, this is technically not wrong, but we know to whom we can talk to double check, are all of these meetings really needed? And the next further down step could be then, even this is optional if you want to see, but this is the highest granularity you could get out of it. It's the subject line of meetings. You cannot get more information. So you will never see any email body text or something like this. But in this case, it's useful to see the subject line because technically from the chart, there are not many meetings. These are the blue bubbles here who create a lot of multitasking. But there's one specific meeting called Stuff and the Face, Please, blah, 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 something else. Means that here are 144 attendee hours consumed. And every attendee writes 2.5 emails in this meeting. So they're not really focusing. And this is a perfect case, which I see in so many companies. You're invited to a meeting, you don't really know, should I really attend? Am I really needed there? Is there really information interesting for me? Since I was invited, I better join because I could miss something. And then I find out, okay, there's nothing really important. I write emails and I don't do anything really good, neither joining the meeting or following the meeting, neither really doing a good email. So therefore, this is then a good starting point to find out, okay, my dear guys who was setting up this meeting, please double check if all employees in this meeting are necessary, and then maybe set employees who are optional, really as optional, or put it as a channel meeting or something like this. These could be then a few of these examples. Okay, and now My Analytics jumps also into this field. So we started with workplace analytics and find out a couple of these meetings can be cancelled maybe because they are not urgently needed, or we can at least adjust that not everybody is required. A few of them can be set optional. And with this, now the employees can work more focused and really book their focus time. And this is done with My Analytics. And we can book this focus time now, for example, in advance, because a couple of free time now popped up in our calendars with canceling a couple of unused meetings in this case. And My Analytics is now saving this focus time for us so that nobody can place any other meetings inside. And even if somebody tries to, I show you here in a little GIF how this looks like. So doesn't matter if this is in the web view from Outlook or in the client version. When you have Workplace Analytics with My Analytics enabled, then when you try to schedule a meeting, or you was invited to a meeting, it automatically sees, hey, this is actually a focus time that I blocked for you, but I show you some alternatives where everybody else of the meeting could join without violating any focus time or without conflicting any other meetings. So this is now really the artificial intelligence which jumps in, because based on machine learning, we know now, okay, there's some free time in the calendars. So now the automatic algorithm from this artificial intelligence is suggesting us other meeting times where everybody can join, not only to create no conflicting meetings, but also, for example, that you don't have to work overtime, so late in the evening or something like this. This is what then My Analytics can help us with. So when I now come here to a consumption conclusion, looking at the tasks that we have done. So we have decreased actually some workload, finding, for example, the right and appropriate meeting time, because it was done automatically for us from My Analytics. And also we were now able to prioritize our tasks because we can save us some focus time. And the step before, some colleagues helped us to really cancel some of our meetings, or we know we are anyways optional, so therefore we cancel it ourselves because we need this time to get some work done. And when we now make here a simple calculation, we have a company size of 1,000 employees. We have 20 employees per manager. Actually, this is even too high. Usually it should be less than 10. 7 to 8 is a perfect team size, as you may have heard. But let's start high here. And in this case, it means we have 50 managers in this company. I assume 80,000 euros yearly salary for this 50 managers. And also 220 working days, at least in Germany. This can be more or less depending on the country, of course, 8 hours per day. And this comes to a salary per hour. And now let's say what we have just done. So let's say we have a lot of meetings as a manager from Monday to Friday evening in our working week. And if we can only save 5 of these 1-hour meetings, I would say this is not that much when we assume that managers are actually jumping from meeting to meeting. So just only 1 meeting per day is saved because of this. This means potentially 44 hours are saved over the year, and this results in 100,000 euros savings in 1 year. So I would say these numbers are not too high too unrealistic. I would say it's quite realistic, and therefore I can just emphasize again to really use the power of data, use the power of these machine learning algorithms on workplace analytics to optimize your work and also to increase the well-being of your employees, not because of they ask for this, but also I think everybody of us can say the same, like I have so many meetings, I don't know when I can get my work done. And with this easy example, it's a very good example to give some time back to the employees, and then they are more happy and more satisfied because they are not overloaded with a lot of tasks. All right, and one little outlook. Yeah, this is then the last one. Also from this survey from Oracle, is that 68% of the employees said that they would even prefer to talk to a bot, to an AI bot. So prefer to talk to an AI bot and not to their manager, especially to health issues. So if there are burnout or something like this, but also in general. So therefore, they believe that robots can really support their mental health and their daily work because they are unbiased. So they have any patterns that, some guys, they work all the time too early or too late or something. No, a bot just follows an algorithm. And this could be here an outlook, especially to my German friends, because everybody knows that the German data security is quite special, especially the working councils. They don't want to see these dashboards here. They fear that, we can monitor our employees, how well they work or something like this. But it's for them, as we just learned. But still, if they don't want to have any dashboards here that everybody can see, bots are just algorithms, and they can then connect to this data sources and then just send the regarding nudges that we have seen in workplace analytics, or just simply give a hint to please stop working now because end of working day is already, or similar scenarios. And to give you this look ahead, just one screenshot. A little commercial here. This is, for example, the bot from our company who's doing exactly this. Still in German, but if you want to be a beta tester also in other languages, which is just around the corner, then just let me know. But this is especially an enabler in Germany that no dashboards are needed. Just an algorithm looks at the data and then helps the employees to get more productive, and simply increase their well-being also in the end. All right, this should be my end here from the slide deck. Let me check the timing. How much time do we still have? And is there interest to look into workplace analytics in real life? Because it's usually only enabled of a certain amount of employees, or you make a web direct request at Microsoft to also get it for only a few employees for your company.
Yeah, I think we can use 5 minutes or so if you have a real life demo.
Okay. Perfect, then let's have a look. And this is so real life because this is our company, Context AI, and you can see we are not yet that big, of 50,000 people or so, because then it really plays out to find some patterns. This is quite small, but here it's very clear to see as a first example, the manager effectiveness or some accelerating change. This is about how many connections people have. There are no reports available because we must have a minimum amount of employees so that any data can be showed here. Otherwise, it's maybe de-identifiable, or no, it's identifiable. Okay, we have actually only 2 departments technically here uploaded, but these are then of course too less because you can see, okay, 1 department, 2nd department, and then we know who belongs to what. So therefore, to really protect the data security and the employees, this is the first thing to show here, that data is really aggregated, and when too less data is there, simply no report is shown. This is the first example. This can be set here in the admin settings for the privacy. And here we can see the tenant minimum group size must be 5, and I cannot make it more smaller, but everybody can create it as tall as possible. So if a group size should have be at least 50 people, then it's really difficult to identify one specific person who's in this regarding group and working over work. So therefore, this just as a first starting point to for the data security aspect. Then when we look into some of these example reports, we just click on it and then we see, okay, the after hours, it's just in general about all. Weekly after hours is not much. So from time to time this happens, and this is, in my opinion, also very likely related to we are very flexible working hours. I just write sometimes the first chat when I'm still laying in the bed in the morning, or the last one when I'm laying already in the bed in the evening. So therefore this is kind of an outlier. So therefore, as I said, take these data with care. But here you can then see some insights and also what you can do. So any other example, for example, when this is a bigger data set, you get really some tips. Okay, what can be done to lower down this overwork time, for example, and in this case, enable my analytics well-being. This is what I showed in the screenshot. This is not only about conflicting times, but also after work hours, so that my analytics helps you to not schedule after hour meetings, for example. And all these information, and you're asking, okay, where is this data coming from? Why should I do this and this? This has, of course, some evidence, and there are a lot of them. Really, research has been done in detail, and you can find out then directly with a click on the regarding reports where this comes from. So for example, question in the round, how many people should be in a meeting when you want to make effective decisions? What is the maximum number you would recommend? Is there anything coming here? Just type a number in the chat. Who dares to say how many people should be in a meeting to make efficient decisions? We have a 5, 6. You guys are very good. Yeah, 6. Yeah, very good. Actually, even one more is also good. 7. Everything, every attendee above 7 is extending unnecessarily the time to decision, and exactly by 15%. So attendee more than 7 is extending the time to decision by 15%, and more and more and more just becomes of this just comes because of everybody wants to say something, especially when there are multiple manager layers. Especially there, managers want to speak all the time, and this is then these are one of the reasons why you should limit your decision meetings to less than 8 people. So to greatly set here 5, 6, or 7. And all these researches has been done to all of these findings in workplace analytics. So therefore, this is not just like Microsoft was crazy and was defining any number, like for OneDrive recycle bin of 93 days. No, these are really valid empiric numbers from researchers. So therefore, this is really, really great, which you can then also find in the regarding reports. All right. Are there any other questions?
I commented earlier when your chart was showing the number of emails sent in the during the meeting was 2.5. Is it counting the number of sent and read Teams messages yet? That was in the one meeting with lots of people involved, and everybody was multitasking, sending emails, not really paying attention. Is it only reading about the Exchange part, or does it read something else from Office 365 as well?
Okay. No, so the maximum is really, where was it? It's Exchange and Teams, but for Teams, it's really the chats and the calls. And for Exchange, it's a calendar and email subject line, not the email body. And this is what gets into this calculation. Microsoft, I think 1 week or 2 weeks ago, announced that also now the channel messages will also be counted from the team side as collaboration time. It's obvious, but so far it was not inside, but this was now just 1 or 2 weeks included there as well. So these are the metrics that will be taken into consideration.
Okay, thank you. I must have missed that one earlier, but the statistics are going to look so bad for me later when the channel messages are dropping in as well. I have a bad habit of multitasking too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be connected to that this team for the new search API had to postpone the channel messages because the Teams team was too busy. So the new search API currently can't search on channel messages. It was on their list, and they're now in waiting loop.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah, so sometimes you see these moving of priorities, and as the analytics, the most of the stuff is now based on the new search API. Then this, what you can't search, you can't count. Maybe it's just a guess.
For Microsoft, right, that this is almost true, so mostly true, because this is exactly what you said. This is it's based on the search and the regarding crawl and index that is behind. And when you cannot search, then it's usually also not getting into statistics. As I said, I just heard this or read this 1 or 2 weeks ago. I was just overflying it, this message. I will have a deeper look what they said exactly on what it is based.
So each team excuse himself differently, puts it on the other. As you mentioned the focus message, your focus time. Is the focus time only set by the algorithm, or can I use the focus time as a kind of manually?
Absolutely, yeah. So this is, by the way, a normal My Analytics feature for free. So you don't even need Workplace Analytics for that. And when you configure yourself My Analytics, then you can automatically say, either you put yourself manual focus times, and you can configure where exactly, so during noontime or something like this, or you can say every week, my dear My Analytics, put them anyhow automatically where it fits. So this is up to you.
Okay, but there is nothing in Outlook to say, please block these as the focus time, because I want to get the nice UI that somebody doesn't try to invite me.
This is in My Analytics. I try to...
but not Outlook. So it's the way is through My Analytics and not directly in Outlook.
That's right, yeah. Directly.
Okay, that was because I've never saw it. So
when you have My Analytics enabled, you get an email from My Analytics in Outlook. And then you can, from the email, interact.
So you need to know the way to get to the funny corner. Yeah, thanks.
And unfortunately, many companies also have really switched off My Analytics for data security reasons. But as I said, My Analytics is really purely employee focused. Really, no manager, nobody really, even if they try, cannot look into this data. That's no chance. So therefore, I really don't get why this is then disabled, because it's really for the people. This can also sometimes be a reason why those focus time, helpers, and so on are not popping up.
Okay, thank you, Robert. It was excellent to see the workplace analytics in action, and also to hear more about that, because it's not that easy to get your hands into that, as you said. It requires usually a much bigger company and kind of more data, so you can see what it can do. So, and if you have any questions, anyone has questions to Rob, please just I guess they are free to contact you directly, or just ask in the chat, and you can come back to that later. Thank you. Okay, so we can kind of move to the last phases. Just a kind of a reminder to everyone about to please be involved, please share. We have amazing sessions coming in for the TeamsNation, and Rob is one also speaking there in the community conference, and again back here in June. So you have a really good kind of streak of TeamsNation in 3 months. Sadly, I guess the July will break that one for you.